Do you think violence solves everything? In which case, maybe you want to learn how to cook Guild. This guide, like all of them, is designed for newer players or intermediate players. If you're a good player or a really good player, you probably beaten me at tournaments already and you know all this stuff. But watch anyway, because let's be honest here, a view is a view and a like is a like. Guild Ball is a super deep game and therefore I can't really go through all of it in one video. So let's look at the guild. We have Wellington, Peppa, Cinnamon, Sugar, Roast, Spice, some floor meat, and something that's bound to give you food poisoning. Don't worry, I haven't forgotten about the Butcher's players. I'm going to cover them at the end of the video. The reason I'm doing this video first before the second Butcher's video is because some of these characters will play for Butchers as well. It's impossible to talk about Cook's Guild without talking about that guild rule. The guild rule is -1 defense to any attack they make. Bear in mind, this does not apply to character plays. This is a huge deal and really makes them a lot more reliable. Looking here then, for example, at Wellington's playbook, attack 5, 5-1 playbook there. Normally versus 4-1, assuming of course his guild rule isn't working, you're looking at scoring around 2 hits. With his guild rule in place, you're looking at scoring 3 hits. That one hit makes a big difference. It means they can hit higher versions of the playbook. It means they're more reliable. Looking at Mist here, now Mist is an example of a character that really hates the cooks because he has defense 5. Now defense 5 is normally, unsurprisingly, quite good defense, but it's counteracted by their low hit point numbers. However, against a cook player, of course that defense drops down to defense 4. Normally, versus defense 5, with the guild rule, you're looking at hitting really the first result only, reliably at least, meaning 6 attacks, about 6 damage. Now, if you are using Wellington with the guild rule, which of course you should be because that's the rules of the game, the chance of the first attack is going to hit the second column for singled out. That means further swings with then attack 7, and that's going to hit reliably the third result in the playbook. So you're looking at 5 more attacks after singled out, approximately 2 damage a hit equals 10 damage. That ignores all the spikes, all the bonus times you can do, and character plays as well, of which there are quite a few in this guild. I mentioned bonus time because you're doing momentum. Because you're getting momentum for damage, you could probably bonus time a lot of attacks. Cook's players tend to sit on a pile of momentum larger than the models. Looking at the playbooks here, I'm not going to go through them in huge amount of depth. They are quite similar in feel to Butcher's playbooks. Like Butcher's playbooks, all the damage is momentous. They have a few more momentous guild results for character plays than Butcher's Guild do. They have generally poor counterattacks. Most of them are non-momentous repositions and tackles, so they generally rely upon killing their opponents first to ensure they don't die in turn. They can't really take a punch very much. So first we're going to go from Westminster and take the Jubilee line to Wellington. And here he is. Some of his powers I've covered previously, talking about his ability to do singled out, which really pumps up his damage output, both for him and the rest of the team. Of course, he won't single out somebody else, he won't kill in one turn to allow the rest of his team to finish them off, but Wellington can reliably one round lots of people indeed. Chef's special here is of course a damage buff to himself and everyone around him. Bear in mind, it hasn't got to be played on him, he can play it on anybody else as well within 4 inches of him, and that acts as an aura on them. That means Wellington hasn't always got to be at the front. Now often he wants to be at the front, but he has poor counterattacks and he dies fairly easily. Now he has a really good legendary play here. Now Master Chef doesn't sound great, but there are a lot of character plays in this guild, and them becoming free means you have more influence for attacks. Scathing Rebuke is what it is. It's the only way to remove conditions in your team, and it can pull someone out of a scrum, whether they're about to get panel beaten, looking at you roast, or indeed allow you to reposition to get an attack on someone that is blocked off by other models. As I have already mentioned, his health and defense is not great, and therefore he will die pretty handily if he gets attacked back too often. So now take the Piccadilly line across to Peppa. Now Peppa is the mascot of the guild, not to be confused with other mascots in Guild Ball. He gets an attack for free every turn, meaning you rarely have to give him influence. Peppa really wants to engage people with his playbook. First of all, engaging people means that Spice can go in and do a lot more damage, which gives your opponent a dilemma because they either want to attack Peppa, which is arguably a waste of influence, or move out of his melee zone. At first, his parting blows seem quite weak because he has no knockdown, but he has Vicious. Now, Vicious, you're looking at least 5 hits versus a defense 4 model, becoming to defense 3, of course. Why is that? Because looking at his playbook here, you can see he's got a Menace 1 and 1 hit, Menace 2 and 2 hits. He's looking at rolling about 8 dice for parting blow. Where rather than 7, I'm assuming you're going to be bonus timing this because it really does spike him and give him a good wrap. And again, momentum is quite easy to come by in Cooks. So 5 damage on a parting blow is nothing to be sniffed at. That can be for a lot of characters about a third of their health in attack you're basically getting for free. So now we're going to take the central line across to Cinnamon. Cinnamon's main power is her character play there, Get Set Bake. It's superb character play for increasing threat range and allowing you to get the alpha strike in. Her 2-inch melee zone combined with anatomical precision means she's actually quite good at getting the ball. She's both quick with a ball dodge and that 2-inch melee and tackle on 2 hits. Now bear in mind tackle isn't momentous of course because it's Cooks and they don't really like the ball very much. But looking at her results here, a 4-1 character becomes 3-0 against her, making her tackle super reliable. In my mind, because of her threat range extension, we have the Cook's Guild and Cinnamon as the foundations. So now we're going to take the northern line up to Roast. Roast, big man, do damage. First of all, he makes everyone charge for 1 influence rather than 2, which is a huge deal. More attacks, more dice, more murder, exactly what you want, especially combined with the legendary plate from Wellington, making it free, allowing your team to go in. This is great both in the Cook's Guild and in the Butcher's Guild. Charging for influence is superb, often because you want to charge in, is because you want to get more dice. Now, with the Cook's Guild, charging in is less of a dilemma for you. Often if you charge in, they're going to use defensive stance, but with the Cook's Guild, because of your guild rule, if their defensive stance, all that's happening is their defense is going back to its normal value. Now, resilience helps with bouncing the odd counterattack, meaning he's not going to waste the first attack on a knockdown. He can go on with damage. Even with Big Belly, which pushes people away from him, he's not that survivable. First of all, bear in mind that Big Belly triggers only when he is damaged, not when knocked down. And when he's knocked down, he will leak momentum. In fact, with his defense of 2 and his hit points that are quite mediocre, the chances are he's going to get knocked down quite handily, even with resilience, and then your opponent will farm him for momentum. Opponent might even bother killing him for a while because you can knock him down and farm him for all the momentum you want. And that's one thing you don't want in Cooks, because you want to win the momentum race to really keep the tempo up. You want to kill people fast and win the game quickly. So carry on taking the northern line across to Spice. Spice is a ferocious damage dealer. First of all, with Berserk, you're looking at effectively doubling the number of attacks you put influence into, combined with her 2-inch melee, meaning she can really pump in the pain. With her assist with Peppa, she's going to be doing attacks of around attack 7. Combined with her guild rule, you're looking again at that person who's 4-1 becoming 3-1. 7 attack. This is a no bonus time here this time, just to see how it works out normally. You're looking at around 4 or 5 hits. You're looking at the column 4 there for 4 damage per hit. So with Berserk and Peppa, you're looking at 16 damage, 4 momentum for influence. You can't always rely upon Peppa being around, of course, but you have a lot of damage buffs in this guild anyway, so getting to attack 7 isn't particularly unreliable. If she manages to go into someone who's on fire, because either from her own turn up the heat or from Roasts here, she could in theory kick off 4 intensifiers. Now that's going to be 8 damage to everyone around her, which could probably nuke half the board. Spice is a real powerhouse in terms of damage, but bear in mind she has again a very poor counterattack and also low hit points and very poor defense. 4-0 is not great at all. So now take the Hammersmith and City line across to Sugar. Sugar, first of all, her notable character play right here. She can really nuke half the board. 4 damage and burning is horrific, and hitting it is not hard to do with the guild rule. Also, of course, with the legendary play here, meaning she rarely wants to spend 2 on it. She really has to spend 2 on it, really. Looking here, assuming she could attack 5 because bonus timed it, you're looking at hitting it fairly reliably against a 4-1 model. She has the same damage buff that Wellington does, giving the guild more redundancy in terms of damage output. And also, if Wellington is out of position or taken out, she can kick out that buff as well, which Cooks really want to start to really hurt people fast. One problem Cooks have is starting a fight off. If they go into someone early doors, the chances are they'll get hit back and potentially hit back and taken out back. and they want to be ahead in kills, not behind on kills or even on kills. Sugar can be a good way of starting a fight off. Why is that? Well, first of all, she has her two abilities here. Sturdy, with her defenses of 3-2, is pretty good for this guild, meaning she's not likely, well, not super likely to get taken out in one go. Obviously, she can be, but it's not the most common thing in the world, against some teams at least. But remember to pick your targets for that. Combined with her icing on the cake ability, this makes her kick 5-10 for snapshots. So early in the turn, she can move forward, maybe use her character play, and then be a threat for a snapshot turret. This might force your opponent to go up to you and engage, which means you can go into them and start the scrum off on your terms, rather than pushing forward someone like Wellington, activating him early in the turn, and then having everyone bundle in on him and kill him quickly. So now take the circle line past Queen's Way, past Gloucester Road, all the way to Shank and Tenderizer. So here are the Butcher's players. Both of them benefit hugely from the legendary play here. Shank, his character play, 1,000 cuts, is a great character play, but costing 3 is a huge amount, and he finds it hard to get off his playbook. -2 defense really pumps up the damage output of the cooks to silly levels where someone who's defense 5 simply becomes defense 2 against them. And Tenderizer, ground pound again, costing 3 is an awful lot, making that 3 is amazing. A free mass knockdown damage power makes everyone around him very sad indeed, although bear in mind that does knock down your friends as well. Shank, being the fast murder machine he is, loves a damage buff that doesn't tie him to the rest of the team because he wants to hit people on the sides, not really get engaged in the scrum in the middle. But with Chef's special, he hasn't got to be tied to any one character, and Get Set Bake makes him super fast and able to do what he does best, which is target and kill models who have come in on the pitch half wounded, and with the buffs the cooks could give him, he can finish them off really easily. Tenderizer is what he is, great at upsetting you from goals. I wouldn't take him unless you're playing against a very strong goal-based team. Okay, and that is the Cooks Guild. Thanks for watching again. Hopefully you enjoyed it. The Patreons are here somewhere. I'm going to make more of these, maybe, if you still watch them. Although, if you've got this far ahead, you probably have started watching them. Started watching them? No, hopefully you have been watching them for a while. Anyway, either way, thanks for watching them, and hopefully I didn't butcher it too much.